Welcome into our In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com for the Sunday card, October 23rd. Tom Leach here along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Mutuals and Simulcasting. And our Sunday feature is the Grade 3 Rood and Riddle Dowager. We saw the boys going a marathon on the turf on Thursday. And now we get to see the girls go a mile and a half here on the Sunday card. And this is usually like the one for the boys, a tough handicapping challenge. You had a 9-1 shot, Renown, that won the Sycamore. So who do you like in the Rood and Riddle Dowager?
This was a tough one. I love the mile and a half races. I actually like Electrum. Ships from California for John Sadler. He didn't ship very many horses in here, and she's run against much, much better. Grade 1 coming out of the Rodeo Drive at Santa Anita and actually finished competitive there. Got beat by 4 lengths. So I take Electrum on top, but I also use a number of other horses in here. Paige, the 4-horse, X's a key race at Kentucky Downs, where she ran a good second behind Ramsey star Alice Gow, who came back and won the E.P. Taylor last Sunday at Woodbine. She was 30-1 that day. She stretches out to a mile and a half. I think she'll like the distance, so I like her a little bit. Apple Betty, the 5, is the first North American starter, an unknown quantity, but you got to use those horses shipping over here. Daring Duchess, the 7, won a $62,000 optional claimer at Belmont. Could be controlling speed with Giroux, so you got to take her. And I like a horse named Note d'Oro. She's been off for a couple months. Clements give her a couple of months on the shelf. She's very classy, got a lot of back class, and I think she'll like the mile and a half as well. So I'm going to go probably 5 deep here in the pick 4, but I'm going to take Electrum on top with Paige the 4, the 5 Apple Betty, the 7 Daring Duchess, the 10 Notre d'Oro, and I left off Oakley Girl, who was in the same race at Kentucky Downs and ran 3rd in her first North American start, so the 13. So take 2 on top of 5 horses.
I'm going to take Daring Duchess in this spot, and it's not a strong opinion, but I remember Mike Maker recently claimed this horse, and I remember he, a few years ago, claimed a horse called the Big Hoss. And that horse got good fast and won one of these turf marathons. And this horse was just claimed by the Maker Barn a few starts back and has made really significant improvement in the 2 starts for Mike. You mentioned Florent Giroux. He's outstanding on this turf course. So those 2 reasons, I'm going to take a shot with Daring Duchess. I think I'll get a little bit of a price. And the ones I would use her with in an exacta just within this race would be as many as you can go of these others. A lot of the ones you mentioned, Paige, Apple Betty, Oakley Girl, Rachel Wall I put down, and also Robillard, only because of a I think 2-for-2 record on this turf course. I threw him in as well. And had to limit it a little bit. I couldn't use all of those in the pick 4 because the ticket was getting too expensive. I couldn't really find any place I wanted to single. I ended up doing a single to keep the ticket affordable. So in the 6th race where this pick 4 starts, I actually have 6 horses. I don't think they'll all run because one of them is the 16 Brooks House. I doubt he'll get in. But I've got the Tometo, the 2, who's my win pick, but also Lemon Squeeze, the 5, Sistine Sista, the 6, 10 Burma Road, 11 Curlin' Up, first turf going long for McPeak is an interesting angle, and then Brooks House. Then in the next race, I'm going to use 3 horses, Scarly, Charlie, Chivarelli, and Gorgeous Bird. In the next race, the Rood and Riddle Dowager, I'm going to use 5 horses, Daring Duchess, Paige, Oakley Girl, Rachel Wall, and Apple Betty. And then to keep the ticket affordable, I'm going to single the 11 Spanish Arch coming out of some good fields, dropping out of Straight Maidens and Le Peru rides, so going for the riding title. So for all of those reasons, I'm going to take a shot at single Spanish Arch, but it's not a real strong conviction on that single. How about you?
I was wondering when you were going to get your single. You kept spending money, and you thought, okay, I'm out of money, so I guess I better take 1 horse. I get that, believe me. First leg, I'm going to take, this may be an all for us because we don't really agree on this. I like Tometo, the 2, Lemon Squeeze, the 5, stretching out for Mark Cassie. Probably be my top choice with Alvarado. The 7 horse, Pay the Kitten. Always got to use a Ramsey. And the 10, Burma Road. I think you did mention Wilkes' horse. So 2, 5, 7, 10 first leg. I almost singled. I didn't have a single. I've got an $80 ticket. Chivarelli would be my single if I did have one. The 2 horse for Eddie Keneally. Key off that $80,000 optional claimer at Saratoga. They threw him into a couple of stakes races. He was overmatched in the forego, but came back and ran really well in the ACAC against Run Happy. Actually beat Run Happy that day. So I'm going to use Chivarelli. I'm also going to use Scarly Charlie, the horse that you mentioned here. Narrow loss at Saratoga, wheeling back on 2 weeks. It's unusual for a horse to run twice at Keeneland, but this horse ran opening day on the 7th, coming back on the 21st. I cut down my pick 4 ticket. I talked about those 6 horses in the feature. I cut it down to 2, 4, 10, and 13 in the future. Electrum is my top choice. I'd also use Page, the 4, the 10 horse, Note Doro, and the 13 Oakley Girl. And then I go deep in the last race where Tom singled the 1, 5, 7, 9, 11, Savannah Bell the 1, Warrior 1 the 5, Canny the 7, kind of scares me with the speed. And then the 9 horse, Delia's Foxy Lady for Brad Cox, and the 11 Spanish Arch, Tom's pick. Shaky pick though. That's a tough race, and I admire him very much, or very muchly, as Donald Trump would say, for singling the last race.
It's simply a matter of, okay, I can't spend $500 on this ticket. Let's try to trim it down. So that's the challenge. In fact, the others I had written down were 2 of the ones you mentioned in that last race: Dahlia's Foxy Lady and Warrior 1, and Hot Girl being the others. So those are the ones I would use with Spanish Arch in that last race. It's like many of the races here at Keeneland. That's why you get pick 6 carryovers, some tough handicapping challenges. We are here each day of the fall meet with a podcast, and then we'll have, of course, extended podcasts for Breeders' Cup weekend as well. For Jim Goodman, I'm Tom Leach, and that's the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.